Thank you so much for being here. Could you take a moment, introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Matt Kowal, and I'm a member of the Roseburg community. I've been in Roseburg since 2014. Lived here a year by myself before my family moved down here with me. Um, been involved in the community ever since I stepped foot in this community, and that's about it. And I'm a banker by trade, hold a professional job, and the story that I'm about to tell is something that I never thought would happen to me.
Can you tell us, in your own words, of course, can you just tell us what it is that happened with your family, how it all played out?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was like a Wednesday afternoon. We were actually, my wife and I were on a phone call with a financial advisor, of all people, just kind of going through our financial stuff and to make sure that we were set up for the future. And she gets a text message on her phone, and it says that it was an officer from the FBI and actually the Department of Justice, and that they wanted us to reach out to them because my daughter may have been involved in some type of human trafficking, pornography website that they had some information on. They had her on her Instagram handle, and they wanted us to contact them. About 2 o'clock that afternoon, we get a phone call from the school saying that the officer on campus had received a message from his officer here at Roseburg PD that my daughter was involved in an incident on Instagram, and that they were going to do a welfare check. And immediately I'm like, okay, well, we got this text message a couple hours ago, and now we're getting this message from Roseburg PD, and I'm not sure where the correlation was. And so I immediately went down to the school and talked to the resource officer. Meanwhile, he had already had the opportunity to talk with my daughter, and she admitted over a year ago, in April of 21, that she was communicating with somebody on Instagram, and it was through a mutual friend of hers. And the mutual friend says, "Yeah, I know this guy, and you're safe to talk to him and everything." And come to find out, the research that the Department of Justice was doing was this gentleman was up to no good. At first she played dumb, which I expected for any child, and all of a sudden you're getting put into a corner and saying, "Hey, what can you tell me what happened? Can I look through your phone? Can I do this type of thing?" Because we've always been that type of parent that we have an open relationship with our kids. My wife has full access to her phone at any time she wants to, but with technology nowadays, you can do something and delete it. And that's exactly what happened. It must have been at nighttime when she was supposed to be in bed sleeping, and her phone was with her in her room, and she was communicating with this gentleman. And what the gentleman asked her for was some photos of herself, and she ended by sending just a photo of her upper body, but nothing in additional. However, when I communicated, like I said, she played dumb and she was, "I don't know what you're talking about. He must have misunderstood me." And I'm like, "You're not in trouble," because that's the last thing I wanted her to think, was that she's in trouble. Because under normal circumstances, yeah, a parent's going to get angry, of course, over finding out something that you've thought you've drilled it into their head, not to be talking to strangers on the internet. And it wasn't even on a computer; it was on her cell phone. Well, as soon as we got out to the car, we left, and she just broke down and started telling me everything that was happening. That she had been in communication with this guy. He had asked her for some photos. She had sent one photo, and it just kind of continued and snowballed from there. Asking for additional photos, more provocative photos, and everything like that. And she was like, "No, I'm not doing that." Got really scared for about 30 days. She said it went on for about a month. And I don't know how she held it inside for a month, because normally she's one of those children that you start talking to them, or whatever, she kind of tells on herself at times. But she held it on for a month, and finally one of the big things that the officer told me was that she admitted that she might as well just kill herself. And of course, that throws another red flag into the whole situation of suicide. Not only has she been exploited in some way or another, but now she's talking about suicide tendencies. And never did that appear on the outside to her mother or I throughout the whole 9 months, for the last 9 months that she had kept this inside.
So she became suicidal. She had suicidal ideations about this whole incident. Was there threats, or was she being coerced in some way by this man who was asking for photos?
Yeah, he had come out at one time saying that, I know where you live. I'm going to come after your family. I'm going to, your family, you'll no longer see your family anymore. And that's where she kind of got scared and said that, well, I'll just commit suicide myself. Then I won't have to deal with this any further.
Right, and protect her family
And
at the
protect
same
her family
time.
at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, so she spilled the beans, which was great.
Yep.
That's good. And then what happened after that?
So what happened after that is, so she kind of told everything that happened throughout that time, and immediately my first reaction was to punish her, to ground her, to take her phone away from her, and basically put her back in her room and not let her leave. But again, I reached out to yourself here at Mercy Foundation, and you advised me that that may not be the best course of action, because really what we need to do is come around her and love on her. Because again, she wants to know that will show that we're supporting her decision to make sure that she's feeling loved, and that she's not feeling more depressed and spiral her back down in the other thing, because her phones are nowadays, these phones are these kids' lives.
Yes.
And with her being in trouble and taking the phone away and doing everything that we thought we should have done wasn't the correct corrective action. The corrective action was to just come around her and love on her and talk with her, and let her discuss it with us when she was ready to. And of course, that night we had a family meeting, or what I'm going to call a family meeting between all of us. I do have an older son, and he was at that meeting as well, to let him know exactly what had happened. So he didn't hear us going whispering back and forth, and then him not being involved, because he does go to the school with her, and in that way he could keep signs, look out for signs from her as well. We did take the phone away that night because of course my wife wanted to look through it again and double checked and make sure there was nothing else. And one of the other things that happened is the officer did tell us some additional apps that are on the phone that are kind of hidden apps that these kids use nowadays to protect identity. So anywhere between TikTok and there's a thing on TikTok, apparently you can save some of that stuff and that type of thing. And so we really scoured her phone to make sure that she opened every single application to make sure that there wasn't like a hidden app on the forefront with some information behind. It was about a week later. I did get a phone call from the FBI. Identified the individual, and again, I reached out to you and said, hey, is this guy legitimate?
Right.
And he said that you had worked with him in the past.
Yes.
And so we felt comfortable giving him a call back and walking through things and talking stuff out through that process. And basically they were wanting to make sure that she was safe as well. He had apologized for the communication via text message. Did verify that they would never contact us on text message. It would always be phone calls. So where that text message came from must have been just a coincidence. I don't know, but it got us thinking and got us talking to somebody and say, hey, can you look out and make sure that things are okay?
Yeah.
And the school vice principal there, Mr. Bogardus, he had said yes, that it is an issue at the school, that these kids, they think they're invincible nowadays. the next step happened was after we did talk with the FBI. I called you again and said, yeah, this is a true legitimate case. It was a gentleman out of Malaysia that had also done this to multiple girls. They had thousands of photos on this. They've confiscated a computer, from my understanding, and multiple photos on this thing. And one of them happened to be my daughter. And so I reached back out to you, and you were able to put me in touch with a local survivor, Anjali, and she has a story as well. And we met her in the community and said, hey, would you be willing to talk to my daughter? And so we set up a Saturday where we went and met her for lunch, and my daughter and her are now texting buddies. And so just if they don't text all the time, but if my daughter's ever, and Anjali said, hey, if you ever feel like you need to reach out to me if you're having a bad day and you don't want to talk to your parents, reach out to me. And that's what we need these kids to know, is that just because they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents, that there's other community members that they can reach out to.
Absolutely. You had mentioned that your daughter's friend had said that this was a safe person for her to communicate with over Instagram. So does that mean that this other friend was not exploited in the same way, or was she being coerced to bring in people that are new?
I think she was being coerced into bringing people new. We didn't follow up on that story. That's not really mine. The school was going to look into it.
Right.
We gave that information to the school and let them look into it and see if that person was actually exploited or not. That I don't know. Of course, it's confidential information, so all I was really concerned about was my daughter's situation.
Right.
But my understanding was that she was coerced into getting other kids involved in this whole situation.
For those who may be seeing this, those who are parents who may be seeing this, or teenagers who may be seeing this, and they feel embarrassed or ashamed of what they've done or what has happened within the family, what advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give is one, don't get mad at your child. Again, the first reaction is times I can just fly off the handle and get upset and scream and yell and stuff like that, and that's the last thing that my daughter needed at that time. And I'm glad that I had a little bit of time between the time that I found out to actually confronting her about the situation, to kind of cool down a little bit and say, hey, you know what? We're not here. You're not in trouble. You're not mad. But what can we do as a family to help other families? And so the number one is don't get mad at them. Come around them. Love on them, because they're just as embarrassed as you are as a parent that this happened. Love on your children. Don't get mad at them. Yeah, you want to be, the first thing you want to do is be mad that how did it happen to me, type of situation. And that's exactly how I felt, is why me, and what did I do wrong as a parent? Because again, we always looked at the phone. We had full access to their phone. Everything, and she's a good kid. She's a really good kid. It's not like she's out doing something she's not supposed to be doing. She works. She goes to school. She gets good grades. She's at home at nighttime. It's not like she's running around the streets or anything like that. And it's just one of those things that you just gotta love them.
How's your daughter doing now?
She's doing great. She's doing great. And one of the things I can say is about the FBI agent gave us a personal cell phone number, that if anything comes out, if we feel any questions at all, that she'd be willing to talk to us, give us a call. They checked up on her about a week ago. They called and just checked in to make sure she was still doing okay after all the situation and everything. But she's doing great. But things are back to normal. I think it's opened up our communication line a little bit, because if she is feeling down or if she's feeling stressed, she'll say something. She more than goes to my wife, because of course female to female is sometimes better than to dad. My son normally goes to me if he's got something out of the world that he wants to talk about. But she's back to normal of what normal can be right now. And then we as parents look back and said, okay, what was happening with her 9 months ago that would cause her of done this? And of any 16-year-old girl that my son had a girlfriend at the time, and she was trying to have a boyfriend, and we always told her, well, no, you unless we meet the boy first, you're not going to have a boyfriend and stuff like that. And at that same time that all this happened was there was a boy that she was interested in, and he was interested in her, and then all of a sudden one day it was like poof, he was gone. And so she just kind of wanted attention. She wanted to feel wanted. She wanted to feel needed.
Okay. So do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to mention? Anything you didn't cover yet?
I don't think so. I think, like I said, it's the biggest thing that got down me is that I thought that I did something wrong as a parent. And no matter how much we coach our kids, we teach our kids, we walk through life with our kids, there's something in this world that they're not going to tell us everything. And so you need to have that network of individuals that if they can't tell you something, that they need to be able to go to someone and tell somebody something without the fear of them being in trouble. And I don't think my daughter even felt that. Yes, we have a lot of friends and a lot of close friends, and I think that she felt that if she would have even gone to a close friend at the time, that they would have come and told us, and then everybody would be mad at her. And so you need to have a place that a safe house or a safe individual that they know that they can go to be a confidant, and spill the beans. And then yes, there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be some coaching. There's going to be some parenting involved that you have to re-deal with, and some other stuff, because if there was a handbook on parenting, tell me where it's at.
So you said the importance of your daughter having people that she can talk to, that she can reach out to, and that's always really hard. It's hard for kids to do that. There's a lot of shame and embarrassment, but you yourself said that you were blaming yourself, thinking that you had done something wrong, that there was something that you missed. In fact, that there was not anything that you had done wrong, and nothing that you had missed. You would not have known. It sounded like you were doing everything right, but you also needed support.
Right.
And reaching out, a story like this can be really shameful and embarrassing. How did you feel about reaching out for assistance?
I felt ashamed, but knowing the community that I surround myself with, I knew that I could reach out to anyone in my friend circle. The very first person I reach out to is yourself, Lisa Platt, the executive director here at Mercy Foundation. I reached out to the school, reached out to some neighbors, some really close friends that I was able to reach out to. I've got one. Again, it's just one of those things that as an individual, we have to have somebody that we can trust that isn't going to tell the whole story up to everybody. And I think one of the things too is even me sitting on the board here at Mercy Foundation, I told my story in a board meeting, and that really it brought tears to my eyes. But yet I was able to get that talking about it and get people to know within our community that, you know what, you are a good person. You are a good family person. It can happen to anybody. Yes, it happened to you, and you don't wish it happens to you. I don't wish this happens to anybody.
Exactly.
Because now that this photo, who knows where it's at nowadays? And once that photo's online, it can be 20 years from now that it comes up that, hey, this photo is somewhere floating around. Look at some of the professional people in this world that when they were teenagers, they did something that they messed up on, and now going for a job interview, going for anything. People with social media is just they look on it, and they look, okay, how's this person living on social media? What are they saying on social media? Mm-hmm. What's happened in their lives and stuff like that. Just check in with your kids. Make sure that they're doing okay. If it's a weekly or if it's a daily basis, it doesn't matter. But check in with your kids.